The history books are filled with solutions. We know who won the wars, who signed the treaties, and who committed the famous crimes. But a few times in history, a scenario so perfect, so baffling, unfolds that it defies every logical explanation. We are left with silence, a handful of cryptic clues, and the unsettling knowledge that the truth is simply gone. These are the cases that history filed away as open forever, leaving behind only shadows and speculation. Welcome back to Omen Myths. Today, we are diving deep into the official records of three of history's coldest cases, events and crimes that were documented to the letter, yet remain officially and maddeningly unsolved. These mysteries still haunt us, not because of the brutality, but because of the sheer, impossible vacuum of evidence left behind. Part 1. The Somerton Man, the Uncracked Code, the Spy Who Vanished. Our journey into the cold depths of history begins on a quiet Australian beach just after the close of World War II. It's December 1948 on Somerton Beach, Adelaide, and the world is still reeling from the chaos of the last decade. But on this beach, a new kind of modern mystery was just beginning. On the morning of December 1st, a man was found dead, propped against a seawall. He was dressed impeccably in a suit and tie, his shoes polished. But the scene was immediately wrong. There were no signs of struggle or violence, and his pockets contained only a few mundane items: unsmoked cigarettes, matches, and chewing gum. Crucially, every single identifying label had been painstakingly removed from all his clothing. The police could find no dental records, no fingerprints that matched national files, and no one came forward to claim the body. The man, seemingly, did not exist. The initial medical consensus was death by poisoning, but no trace of any poison could be found. It was a perfect crime with no apparent cause of death, no victim identity, and no motivi. This man was a blank slate, a shadow, perfectly erased from existence. The case escalated from baffling to chilling a few weeks later. During a second, more thorough examination, investigators found a small, rolled-up piece of paper secreted into a hidden fob pocket stitched inside the waistband of his trousers. On this tiny piece of paper, written in a foreign script, were two words: Tamum Shud. The phrase Tamum Shud is Persian and it means finished or ended. The investigators were eventually able to trace the fragment to the final page of a rare 11th century book of poetry. The Rubaiyat of Omar. Finding the book itself led to another twist. A local man identified the book, saying he had found it tossed into the back seat of his unlocked car months earlier. The last page, the page that contained the poem fragment, was missing. When the police recovered the book, they found handwriting on the back cover, a series of cryptic letters and numbers that appeared to be a complex 5-line code: Argoababt MLIOI Snitmaya MLGOAB. This code, likely scribbled down just before or after the man died, has defied the best cryptographers in the world for decades, including experts from the military. It has never been conclusively cracked. The discovery solidified the theory that the Somerton Man was not just a vagrant or a suicide, but a spy or a courier involved in the shadowy underworld of the Cold War, a man whose existence was intentionally made disposable. His identity remains one of the world's most enduring and fascinating forensic mysteries. A true cold case rooted in the codes and secrets of the post-war era. Part 2. The Flannan Isle Mystery, the Lighthouse Ghosts. Now we shift from the quiet sands of Australia to the brutal, isolated environment of the North Atlantic. Our next cold case is a chilling maritime ghost story that defies both natural and human explanation. The Flannan Isles are a tiny, uninhabited cluster of rocks off the coast of Scotland. In 1900, a new state-of-the-art lighthouse was manned by three experienced professional keepers: Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. Their job was routine, if lonely, following a strict rota of tasks. On December 26, 1900, a relief vessel arrived to drop off a fourth keeper and replenish supplies, but something was immediately wrong. The lighthouse flag was down. The usual welcome signals were not answered. The relief keeper, Joseph Moore, rowed ashore and found the main gate locked from the inside. He scaled the cliffs and noticed an even more unsettling detail. The door to the entrance hall was unlocked, a strict violation of protocol, and inside, Two of the keepers' 3 heavy oilskins waterproof coats were missing, suggesting 2 men had gone out into the elements. Inside the lighthouse, the scene was one of sudden abandonment. The beds were unmade. The kitchen table was set for a meal with food untouched. Most chillingly, the clock had stopped, and the logbook, the detailed hour-by-hour record of the keeper's activities, contained the final, frantic entries. The last entry, dated December 15th, spoke of a severe gale, which was strange, as no serious storms had been reported in the area during that period. The final words were terrifyingly simple, signed by the lead keeper, James Ducat. Gale ended, sea calm. God is over all. After that, nothing. No note, no blood, no sign of struggle, and no 3 men. The official inquiry concluded that a rogue wave, perhaps much larger and more powerful than normal, had swept the men out to sea. But the evidence contradicts this. Why would 2 men leave their heavy oilskins behind? Why would they all abandon their posts at the same time, leaving the clock stopped and the gate locked? The leading theory amongst local mariners is far more unsettling. Something, perhaps a momentary madness or a supernatural force, caused the men to simply walk out of their secure sanctuary, leaving a perfect, unblemished mystery behind. The Flannan Isle lighthouse was quickly remanned, but the official finding remains, cause unknown. The 3 men simply vanished. Part 3. The Mary Celeste, the perfect ghost ship. Finally, we turn to the sea, the source of many mysteries, but none so pure or baffling as the discovery of the brigantine Mary Celeste. This is the ultimate ghost ship. The Mary Celeste was a merchant ship sailing from New York to Genoa, Italy, in 1872. On December 4th, it was discovered adrift in the Atlantic Ocean near the Azores by the crew of the When the crew of the De Gratia boarded the Mary Celeste, they found the ship in impeccable condition. It was fully seaworthy. Its cargo, 3,000 barrels of industrial alcohol, was largely intact, and all its valuable papers and navigation equipment were present. But there was no one aboard, not the captain, not his wife and daughter, and not the 7 crew members. 10 people had completely disappeared. The scene inside the Mary Celeste was not one of panic or disaster. The captain's cabin was tidy, and his personal belongings, including his bed and pipes, were untouched. A meal was half prepared in the galley. The most important details were the lifeboat was missing, suggesting an organized, voluntary abandonment, and a single 6-foot piece of rope was found tied securely to the side of the ship, trailing in the water. Every single theory that has been posed over the last century has a fatal flaw. Pirates, no valuables were taken, and the cargo was intact. Mutiny. The crew was highly professional and well paid, with no documented conflicts. Sea monster, or giant squid. The vessel was not damaged, and no one would have had time to calmly lower a lifeboat. The prevailing theory among modern analysts suggests the cause was fumes and fear. It is hypothesized that a small explosion of fumes from the alcohol cargo forced the crew and passengers to abandon the ship in the lifeboat, tethering it to the Mary Celeste with the rope. However, a sudden storm or a heavy wave could have snapped the tether, leaving the lifeboat and its occupants to drift, while the perfectly sound Mary Celeste sailed on, a phantom ship carrying only the echo of its missing crew. The Mary Celeste was salvaged, returned to service, and sailed for many more years. But the question of what happened to the 10 people aboard remains completely unanswered. It is history's perfect puzzle, a crime with no body, no damage, and no motive. Just an empty ship sailing on a calm sea. The Somerton Man, the Flannan Isle keepers, the Mary Celeste. These are not just scary stories. They are genuine, documented holes in our historical record. They stand as monuments to the fact that no matter how organized or advanced we become, the world still holds secrets that are immune to logic, and sometimes the only truth we are left with is the eerie absence of one. Which of these 3 unsolved historical mysteries do you think has the most logical or paranormal explanation? Was the Somerton Man a spy? Did a rogue wave take the keepers? Or did something else entirely happen aboard the Mary Celeste? Let me know your theory in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for your weekly dose of unbelievable true stories and historical deep dives. We are here to explore the past's darkest secret. Thanks for watching Omen Myths.